Okay, but the thing is, I don't think it would be all that crazy to say absolutely nothing. What's going on, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to the story mode. So, at this point in time, it has officially been well over a month since we received Sonic X Shadow Generations, easily one of the best remasters and one of the best entries into the Sonic franchise, period. I am so grateful for this game, I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I'm going to be playing it till the end of time. Shadow is an all-time great character, can't wait to see more of him, the movie's gonna be epic. Probably. We'll see what happens. With that being said, we now have absolutely no idea what the wait is going to be like until our next major Sonic game. We already know good and well that they are very much deep into the development cycle for Sonic Frontiers 2. Considering the fact that they've probably been active on that for at least 2 years, we'll probably see it in another year or two, maybe, possibly, we'll see what happens. Of course, I want them to take as much time as humanly possible to polish that game up and put every ounce of love and care that they can into it. I'm sure that it's probably going to take even more time to do something like that, so I'm more than willing to wait. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to wait the entire time with absolutely nothing to go on. Of course, we are getting Sonic Rumble at some point this year, maybe within the next month, maybe early next year, we'll see what happens, but Sonic Rumble is on its way, and it's probably going to be really fun, but it's definitely just going to be just that, just a little bit of stupid pocket fun for you to hop into something Sonic related for maybe like 20 or 30 minutes at a time. Which means that we could absolutely definitely use something with just a little more meat while we wait for Sonic Frontiers 2. You've seen the title and you've seen the thumbnail. It's very obvious where I'm going with this. That's right, we're talking about Sonic Unleashed today. Fun fact about Sonic Unleashed, it is easily my favorite Sonic game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It has some phenomenal themes, it has a very fun story, I love Chip as a character, I love Dark Gaia as an antagonist. The hub worlds are very fun to explore, the aesthetic and the music are absolutely stupendous. I love that game as a package, it is so much fun. Which is why I, and probably plenty of others, definitely feel that a Sonic Unleashed remaster is more than on the table and something that is absolutely justified. Sonic Unleashed, when it was first released back in like 2008, never got a real actual fair shake. Coming hot off the heels of Sonic 06 made it pretty much practically unfair because it was looked at with such a harsh lens that the public never even actually gave it a chance because the reviewers at the time were so incredibly critical with it. Maybe saying that it didn't get a complete fair shake is a little on the dramatic side, but can you blame me? I've always loved this game. I don't care what anybody says, the concept of the werehog is really tough. It is super raw. And yes, you know, getting older, I do absolutely have some criticisms about the game because no game is perfect. There is no such thing as perfect, but I still love it for its imperfections regardless. I feel like a lot of people, now that they're older, now that they're grown, now that they understand Sonic a little bit more, should absolutely have another chance with that package. Especially because most people now fully agree that Sonic Unleashed has some of the best 3D levels in the entire franchise. Which is crazy, by the way, because we weren't talking about how well the levels were designed when Unleashed first came out. Nope, everybody was complaining about the werehog. What a time, man. What a time. Regardless though, I think that people have a much better perspective on Sonic now, and if they were to actually get their hands on Sonic Unleashed, I feel like they would enjoy it so much more this day and age than they did before, because a lot of people never actually got the chance to actually play Sonic Unleashed. They saw reviewers from afar dog walk it like it was their grandmother's worst enemy, and they never even bothered actually playing the game for themselves. So I feel like now, more than ever, I feel like that remaster would do wonders for the franchise. And you guys know me, naturally I have a list of reasons as to why I think that this remake should absolutely happen. Or remaster, whatever you want to call it. Starting with the fact that, like I said a moment ago, Sonic Unleashed has some of the best level designs in the franchise. The aesthetics within the city levels, the desert levels, the jungle levels, they are so pretty, so well designed, and super massive. Like, these are some big ass levels, and these are the levels that really change the trajectory of how boost formula works. These levels are designed with so much care and love, it's absolutely insane. There's so many different pathways to take, there's so many different ways to get around these levels. People have been speedrunning these levels for decades now. Rooftop Run is a personal favorite of mine for good reason. The energy, the aesthetic, the music, and absolutely the design makes a lot of sense. And of course, it's definitely a lot of other people's favorites, considering the fact that it got acknowledged in Sonic Generations. And again, say what you will about the Werehog, but I think that the way that they designed those levels were kind of a vibe. I really liked going through these little action levels. It was such a nice change of pace for something like Sonic. It was very strange, don't get me wrong, but I love the idea that all of the strength of his legs went into his arms, and so he was, you know, hammering away, doing combos and things like that. And I know a lot of people at the time were complaining, oh, well, if, you know, all of his strength went into his arms, then he should have been able to one-shot all those villains. Dude, are you kidding? We wouldn't have an actual video game if he one-shot everything. That wouldn't be fun. They designed it like that because they were making a video game. It's not like in reality Sonic was having such a incredibly hard time with all of these Eggman robots or these little demons that he was struggling that bad. No. We just needed a video game to play, and they designed combos. They needed to give us something to use those combos on. If everything was a one-shot, it wouldn't be much of a system now, would it? So, just putting it out there, would love to see those 3D levels revisited, especially because there are so many beautifully designed levels in Sonic Unleashed that I think should definitely get another shot in the public eye. Of course, we have to acknowledge where hub areas came from, because the hub areas in Sonic Unleashed are absolutely well designed. They were a little tight, but for good reason. They were actual cities with actual NPCs and different things to do and buy and explore and things like that. They even had like rail systems in Spagonia and things like that for you to ride on to get little sun and moon medals and things like that. It was a good time. The music complemented every single hub area so beautifully. While they were very simply designed, there was so much detail going on, and it was just very fun to go around these areas. However, I think in a remaster, I think it would make things a lot more bearable if we were to, you know, up the frame rate a little bit, because as soon as you crashed into anything, hell, even throughout all of Spagonia, when you would just walk in the hub area, the frame rate would fall into the floor, man. I think that goes for most of the hub areas now that I think about it, because it was compensating for all of the different NPCs and things that were around the area. So, of course, you know, in a remaster, we could definitely see that, you know, spike up and make things run a little bit better, a little bit smoother. So that's something I would definitely love to see. Next thing here, I think that the biggest major change that could absolutely benefit this game, and probably one of the things that turned a lot of people away, was the Sun and Moon medal system. For anybody that's unaware, you did have to collect Sun and Moon medals throughout your playthrough so that you can progress to the next level. And I'm not talking like Sonic's individual level, which was a thing because it did have RPG elements, which I thought were always super awesome. But no, you had to physically collect these medals so that you can get to the next actual, like, act within the game sometimes, depending on how many you get throughout the stage. And the weird thing about the Sun and Moon medals is that they were kind of treated as collectibles. When you're in the daytime stage, you're just running, you're zipping, you're going as fast as humanly possible to get the best time and score possible within that level. The last thing you're thinking about is like keeping an eye out, like, oh god, okay, where's the moon medal? Like, where should I be looking here? That's the last thing on your mind, which kind of created a little bit of an issue because you had to consistently revisit these levels over and over and over again, and, you know, get, you know, good paths and things like that so that you can finally find Sun and Moon medals. And then, you know, of course, a majority of your medals are collected in the nighttime stages because you are moving at a slower pace and you're gathering them up at a, you know, at a reasonable pace because they're more grounded. You're much slower. You have the time to actually take a look around and things like that. You're not as worried about a score as you're, you know, getting all of your points through combos and stuff like that. So a good majority of the time you are looking for these Sun and Moon medals so that you can properly progress. But the thing about that is kind of ridiculous that these levels are hidden amongst these medals, especially because there's one instance where you have to get like a majority of the Sun and Moon medals in the game before you can progress to like end game. And it's a lot of medals, man. So if you haven't been collecting them up to that point, you are screwed. You basically have to revisit pretty much all of the levels to collect all of those Sun and Moon medals because there's no way to buy them or anything like that. The only way to get them is to play through the levels, which again, I don't think that the levels are bad, but it is kind of annoying at one point when you have to go out of your way to collect all of those and things like that. So I feel like that is one major change that could definitely help make the game be perceived a little bit better, make things a little bit more bearable, so that people could just play through the game as opposed to having to have their progress halted by such a minuscule, unnecessary mechanic. People have said for years now to treat the Sun and Moon medals like actual collectibles. Use those to unlock certain references and like little collectibles and things like that, as opposed to locking us out of the game, for Christ's sakes. And I think that that's a fair argument to make. I love that game, but that is absolutely the worst part about it. Getting those Sun and Moon medals was the worst. So if they were to just switch that up, take that out, because it's not that critical of a change, I don't personally believe, I think people would have a much easier time getting in and through Sonic Unleashed. One thing I will say that I'm a little concerned about is the legalities, because it's not Roger Craig Smith. At the time, it was actually Jason Griffith that was still voicing Sonic the Hedgehog, and you still had some of the residue, like 4Kids Cats, with Amy and Tails and things like that, and of course Dan Green doing his thing. I don't understand completely the legalities of all of that voice work needing to be changed. I feel like it's doable. I feel like it wouldn't be all that hard to get a handle on that and use your current voice actors to just switch things out and things like that. But I don't know, if we could have what was already there, cool. If we can have that, some reworked voice work would do wonders. That would be totally fine. I think that the voice work in the original was perfectly fine, but if we do gotta change some stuff up for legality purposes, then, do what you gotta do. I'd be totally fine with that. Now, of course, here's where things get a little dicey, right? The remaster in of itself would be absolutely really cool. I feel like people would definitely pick that up, but now that we've seen the success of what happened with Sonic X Shadow Generations, I feel like it would be so easy for them to capitalize on the success and do something very similar with other games. They could use the opportunity of Sonic Unleashed to tell a different story with other characters. In this instance, I personally feel like the character that would make the most sense to utilize in that situation would frankly probably be Knuckles. And there's multiple reasons for that. For one thing, for whatever reason, Knuckles was completely not present during this time. During the entirety of the events of Sonic Unleashed, Knuckles was nowhere to be found. Most of Sonic's friends were nowhere to be found. It was legitimately just Sonic, Amy, and Tails. And Amy was only somewhat present throughout the story. She wasn't even really doing all that much, but hanging out with the people of specific towns and things like that. She just kind of served as I don't know what she served as. I really don't know. She wasn't really doing all that much. Tails was kind of around. He was doing his research. He was helping out with the story. He was helping things progress. Totally fine. I'm cool with that. But of all of the people to not be present during this, it is very strange to me that Knuckles wasn't there, specifically because he guards the Master Emerald. And the thing about the Master Emerald is that, if it's the server to the 7 Stones of Chaos or whatever, how in the hell did he not get concerned when all of the Chaos Emeralds lost all of their power? Did nothing happen with the Master Emerald during that time? Was the Master Emerald just cooling? It kind of blinked once and Knuckles was like, okay, that was weird. Anyway, and that was just kind of it. He didn't give a damn when the entire world was pulling itself apart and didn't think that maybe that had something to do with the Chaos Emeralds or anything along those lines. Maybe this could have been a situation in which something did happen with the Master Emerald, and without anybody even realizing it, he was making sure that the Master Emerald got its power back while Sonic was doing his thing, going around the world with the rest of the Emeralds and putting them in place and getting their power back. I feel like there's absolutely something that could be done with that, especially with Knuckles as a character. We don't get the chance to see him as often as we would like. I mean, we do, that's kind of a lie. We don't get to utilize him as often as we would like. I would love a couple of levels or a little miniature story within a Sonic Unleashed remaster where we do get to see Knuckles do his thing if something were to happen with the Master Emerald. And he's going around either maybe picking up the pieces, maybe he's fighting, Dark Gaia's remnants or Eggman's robots or whatever on his own time doing his thing while Sonic and group is off doing their thing. It's not like Knuckles has to be attached to the main story. And, I think that they did a good job with that with Sonic Generations. Shadow was there. He was present within that story, but they still gave him a situation in which, okay, well, he could be doing his own thing, we have to make it coincide with the main story, but it's not like we can't do anything with him. And I feel like this is a situation in which they could do pretty much anything that they want with Knuckles. I don't know. I just feel like there's just so much that can be done. And if we were to get a Knuckles side story during this, I feel like people would definitely eat that up. I feel like people would definitely love to see a story involving Knuckles and his time with the Master Emerald during the takeover of Dark Gaia and what Knuckles did during that situation, because if there's anybody that could absolutely hold his own during something major like that, a catastrophe of that size, it's absolutely Knuckles. We don't need to see Shadow again. He's doing whatever. Maybe he didn't give a damn, whatever. We don't need to see Silver, of course. I mean, we could have. Maybe Silver could be doing something. I don't really know. I don't really know what they would do with Silver in that situation, but Knuckles? I don't know. I just feel like there's so much we can utilize that for, so I'd love to see that story play out and unfold, and if they can make it happen, cool. But more importantly than anything, overall, Sonic Unleashed absolutely needs to be the next remaster. I know a lot of people want a Sonic Heroes remaster, but I don't think that's doing the kind of justice everybody thinks it's going to be doing, because that game is so incredibly repetitive, it's not even funny. While I do enjoy the concepts presented in Sonic Heroes, I feel like it would be much more beneficial to give us something that's a lot closer to what people know now, which is Sonic Unleashed. Great 3D levels, awesome hub worlds, just fix up the frame rate and give us a little bit of a side story with Knuckles or maybe another character, potentially Amy, who is present within that story. Maybe she could be doing her thing, who knows. You guys could do whatever you guys want with that, and we could have a very solid remaster on our hands. Just fix up a couple of things, very specifically the metal situation, and you guys have got gold on your hands. And then guess what, you make a little bit more side money and you can use that to either give to your developers and things like that, or you just put that right back into the project, the main project being Sonic Frontiers 2, which we will all be patiently waiting for. But I think that Unleashed remaster would absolutely help, because I know that you guys are hearing us. You guys listen. There's no denying that. But oh my goodness, could we get some acknowledgement, please? That's all I ask. Either way, that just about does it for this one. I was just thinking a lot about Sonic Unleashed and would definitely love to see more done with that game, considering it is my favorite Sonic game, and I feel like it didn't get the fair shake that it should have when it originally released. So if we could see more with that, I would be so incredibly grateful and so incredibly happy about that. But that's something I guess we'll have to play by ear. All that being said, I'm passing the mic over to you guys, and I want you guys to tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below. Do you think that Sonic Unleashed deserves a remaster? Is that something that you would look forward to? Would you love to see a little Knuckles side story and be able to get this game in very high frame rate with a very, specific option to collect the Sun and Moon medals so that you could progress, smoothly through the game at your own pace? Or are you on the opposing side? You don't think that Sonic Unleashed was good at all, and that's not something you'd ever be interested in seeing? Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor, dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!